So excited to sit here with you, Jan, and go live to our audience for the first time. And
Absolutely.
it's really exciting time. It's really great to have you here. We've been talking about, you know, what's happening in the world right now and how this project. So to give everyone context, we've been working together on the Bear Blend project, which is spreading awareness about ceremonial herbs to people, and we saw obviously the herbal blends and we saw all these different herbs, but it's more about like really rekindling our relationship to the plant world and to plant medicines as a way to reconnect to ourselves. And I think it's so amazing what we've done already this year to open ourselves up and listen more to our audience, and like it's kind of been mind opening what everybody's saying. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's been beautiful to see to like how many people resonate with the message, and for how many people like it really feels like the biggest benefit is feeling more intentional. And that's been like just really cool.
Yeah, that was like totally mind opening for me that, a lot of people are coming with this sort of looking for herbs to help with anxiety, but they're getting into this more intentional living or just more intentionality with working with the plants. And I feel like that's the magic of these plants, Like I feel like there's a wisdom there that when you open yourself up to it, it helps us get to that transformation. It helps us to open up that doorway to ourselves.
Yeah, man, honestly, like since I met you, I started thinking so much more deeply about the plants, even though whole my life I had a connection to plants. But your perspective and how you see plants in the world is something that's really like, I don't know, just unique, and that's why I felt so called to work with you. And like I feel every time we talk, I have so many questions to just like go deeper in understanding. But based on what I saw that people were answering as well, I wanted to ask you like, how do you see plants help the world today in day to day life?
I mean, honestly, I feel like the world is owned by the plants. Like the plants are the ones who are here first. They're the ones who like own the world. Like
Hmm.
we're just visiting the world of plants. That's how I see the world. So it's like it's a plant kingdom. I mean, the plants dominate by biomass like way more than animals or any other sentient being. And what's amazing right now is in the world of botany, there's a new book out. It's called Light Eaters, which I recommend to everybody.
Light.
In the it's called Light Eaters, yeah. But in the world of botany right now, they are realizing that plants are actually very conscious. Not only are they conscious, but they communicate. They have a language that they're now able to kind of start to understand and decipher. Um, Plants have personalities. Like once they're able to kind of learn that plants are communicating to each other, they were able to find out that there's certain plants that like are complaining plants that everybody ignores, or there's plants that are like always really positive, or plants that are always really negative, like literally having personalities. And, you know, these plants are communicating, they're listening to people, they're aware. And I think that is something that the botanical world is just opening up to, but like indigenous medicine workers and people that have worked with plants for thousands of years kind of already knew this, you know? Like one of the things that my teacher, like my first sort of like the guy who first started opening me up to this knowledge about herbs, um, one of the first things that he told me was I was like, well, what's the best way to take an herb? It's like tea, because everybody's like, oh, tea, tincture, you can do a salve, you could smoke it, all these things. Like, well, what's the best way to take an herb? Or what's the best way to take a plant? And I asked him that, and he was like, "Oh, the best way to get the medicinal value of a plant is literally to go and sit next to it and just like hang out with it and like be in its world, you know? Just like I'm sorry, my dog's like wants to be in the picture. He's like, "What's up, dude?" Um but just yeah, just hang out with the plants, be in their world, like get to know what it's like to like be in their house, you know, to live with them. And that's the way you get the best medicinal value. And that was just like I mean, at first you have to open your mind to that possibility that, oh, I don't need to take a dandelion tea to get like the liver tonic cleanse. No, you can actually just sit with in a field of dandelions for like a couple hours and just meditate. And that will start to like imbibe into your body. Like you'll start to, if you really listen to those dandelions, you'll start to feel kind of a deeper connection to them, and you'll start to be aware that there's something there, you know. And that, I think that awareness is like huge.
So, like, sorry to interrupt, but I have a feeling that, if you're first time being exposed to this type of words or energy or whatever, you might be thinking like, "Yo, what do you mean, like, talk to the herbs? That sounds wild, right?" So
Yeah.
we talk about it awareness, like how I'm kind of seeing it, from what you're saying, as I'm trying to understand what does it mean to communicate with the plants. What, like, from my understanding, everything carries energy, which means it carries information, right? So there's different ways of how we put that information, get in connection with that information. And how did you come to the awareness that you open yourself up to that possibility?
I mean, I think that it's easier than it sounds. It's sort of like, you know, when you try to get outside yourself to listen to somebody really clearly, like let's say somebody's talking to you and you're like, okay, let me just, you can focus on the words that they're saying. You can look into their eyes. You can focus on the story that they're telling you. You can try to imagine what it's like to be them. There's all these different ways of like listening very deeply to somebody, right? Like you can think, okay, well, what's this like for them, or what's their life like? Or you can think, okay, I'm just going to imagine that I'm that person. Or you can even go, there's this thing in Tibetan Buddhism where they say exchange oneself for others. So you can even go like almost like you're walking in that person's shoes. Like, what does it feel like to be that person? How does that feel? You know? So in any of those ways, you can do the same thing with like with the plants or with the animals or anything, you know, like with the earth, with the sky. Like, how does it feel to be the sky? How does it feel to be the planet? How does it feel to be this one plant? And you could think about it like that. You could also just like look really closely at it and, you know, like look at the flowers, look at the detail of like how this flower is coming out. Look at the like minutia of it, you know, just take it all in that this is like a living thing, you know, even just being aware that like, this thing is actually maybe conscious. You know, they're saying that plants can see you when you walk into the room. They've played recordings for plants of certain insects. And this is all in this book, Light Eaters, by the way, but they played recordings for plants of certain insects, and plants will react as if that insect is there, which indicates they can hear. They're listening. Like it's a recording from a device, and the plant
Mhm.
is putting out, you know, sort of pheromone energy to deflect against these bugs that are only in a recording. So they can they can listen. They're listening. So just that awareness, like, okay, just see it as an entity, as a being, and just check it out, just hang out with it, take it in, just like you would like your friend or something. I don't know, just hey, what's up, you know?
Dude, that's wild. That's just wild. I mean, look, I love it, I absolutely love it. I'm getting slightly paranoid. Like, imagine every plant is looking at you all the time.
Yeah.
But it is, right? Um,
Yeah,
no,
it's
but it's super,
crazy.
super cool perspective. And I feel like something that is coming across from what you're saying is like how much you're protecting the ceremony, because this type of thinking is like not how we think today. We have too much disconnection with the nature that we
Yeah.
can even tap into that. While, when I listen to you speak, I feel like I'm listening like the wisdom and knowledge from Native Americans, or some, I don't know, like from people who lived in the tribes. And there's so many people living like that still today, but it's just so little compared to the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like what you pay attention to, but I always felt more comfortable out in nature. I always felt more like the most safe just in the trees. That's where I always felt the safest. Some people don't feel safe there though. Like they'll go out into the woods and be all alone and feel like scared, they don't understand it. It's like being out of their element or something. I get scared when I do like underwater exploration or something like that seems like a new world, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I feel safest there. Like I feel safe in the trees. That's where I feel like, oh, I can just relax. Like nobody's like you. I just feel like completely surrounded by love. It's like sort of this unjudgmental love. That's what I feel like from the trees and stuff. Like I just feel that. And it's just very relaxing. Like okay, I can finally chill. Like get away from all this crap. Not everybody feels that way though, and I mean, we're constantly bombarded with information. We're constantly bombarded with like stuff to do and like ways to like measure our success and all these things, that are just like it's like overwhelming. And I don't think our bodies are ready for it. Like it's really interesting. I was actually listening to this thing just yesterday about like when telephones were first invented, like people would just they didn't even understand how to use them and they would just like
Mhm.
randomly call people. And there was like this whole thing where people would just make prank calls. Like it would just call people and they wouldn't even say hello. Like there was no like way that people just didn't know. They would just start talking and nobody knew what was going on. Like they couldn't take it in. And now it's like we've only had smartphones for like 10 years. And it's just I think we're still like we don't know how to use it right. You know what I mean? And now we're just like gonna like AI is gonna come in and just take over the world. And we don't know. Like our bodies aren't really used to all this electromagnetic frequencies. We have all this electricity, all these computers everywhere. I think we're sort of out of sorts, like with our kind of like genetic DNA like connection to nature. Like this, we're wild animals. Like this is all very new to us.
Yeah.
Um, and so I just it's kind of surprising to me, like when we set up and then we have our like booth and we're sharing people about the herbs and stuff that people are like, oh, are you sure that herb's not poisonous or something? Like people are so disconnected from nature that they're more trusting of like a pharmaceutical or they're more trusting of like a processed food than they are of like a raw food or like picking a
Mm.
plant from the ground and eating it. It's like, oh, are you going to eat that? Like that's crazy. It's like, no, dude, that is not crazy. Like that is the opposite of crazy. Picking a plant and eating it is the most natural thing in the
Yeah.
fucking world. What's crazy is that you're buying like whatever Kellogg's Frosted Flakes and eating that. That's what's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't know how we just completely went there and now like if I'm like walking in the woods with someone, I pick a plant and eat it. They're like, "Oh, what is that? That's crazy." It's
Yeah, I
wild to
mean,
me.
we got so disconnected from our nature that now it's like nature starts feeling weird. I
Yeah.
feel like when you're starting to become like more true to yourself, I think in the beginning it's weird, and that like imposter syndrome comes, which is basically just you're comparing your new version of you to like past version of you, and it just feels like weird. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, am I actually authentic or am I not? Because I didn't used to be like this. And now it's like I feel like we come to this like weird mix where plants help us to stop and to remember our nature and feel like more calm, but we are so anxious that being calm is something that feels unsafe. We started like feeling safe while we are unsafe, and that's like so wild to me. Like when I observe myself as well, is like you know taking a break to like just connect to the moment and realize, okay, this is the only real thing, is what I'm feeling like herbs have like always have brought to me. Because since a young age I would, I don't know, like smoke chamomile or something, pretend like your parents smoke so you will do it too, and stuff like that. So it's so wild. Like when you talk about nature like that, it really feels like we're disconnecting. And I don't know how is it in the US, because
Oh,
you know
it's way I mean, it's worse in the US, I think. I mean, everywhere really. But like there's still people like that live out in the countryside. And what's interesting is like, economically or like social status wise, like a lot of times people look down on people that are like living in the foothills of Appalachia or something like that. Like they're driving old beat up pickup trucks and they're not like at some sort of high echelon of society. But I've seen these guys like just roll up. I remember because when we had the farm, and my brother still lives out on the farm, but we had like, the dog got like a groundhog one day or something, and this guy just like drove up, and the dog was like coming running up with like this big ground. I mean, and these groundhogs are giant, like it's like huge, giant
Mhm.
groundhog. And this guy like rolls up in his pickup truck and he's like, "Oh, your dog got a treat for you," And we're like, "Yeah," we are like laughing about it. And he's like, "Oh, you guys gonna eat that? You guys gonna skin that and eat that?" And we were like, "What?" And I was like, I was just honest with him. I was like, "Dude, I don't even know how to skin that thing. Like, I wouldn't know the first thing
Yeah.
to do." And he's like, "Oh, you guys." And he jumps out of his pickup truck. He pulls out this knife. He skinned it like right on the spot, just perfectly, like amazingly. He like sort of skinned it, gutted it, fed the guts right to the dog. The dogs ate them. And then he had the meat and he's like, "Here, cook this up, put it in a stew. This is the best thing you'll eat in a long time." And I was like, I had to do it, you know what I mean? Like I was like, okay. So I did it. We made this like groundhog stew. And it was incredible. It was so delicious and like tender. And I mean, it was like amazing. And it's like that is magic to me. That kind of relationship that he had was so natural to him. It was so like, and it's something that I don't know. I think a lot of people almost would look at that and be like, "Oh, that's disgusting," or "Oh, that's that poor man, he can't afford like a real meal, so he has to eat groundhogs." It's like, no, this guy was like living in pure bliss bubble. Like he was just so appreciative of this creature, so appreciative of this moment, so connected to the natural like order of things. And when I see, you see that him just living naturally in that way, it's like I had this whole other level of respect where I felt super humbled by this guy. I was just like, "Oh my God, like I don't even know the first thing about like how to live in like a world that, like I was just like I remember eating that stew and just being like, God, I don't know anything, dude. Like, what the fuck did I think I know? Like, this guy just, he's fine. Like, he's going to take care of his family. Like, he's going to be able to hunt a deer, or he knows all these plants in the woods. He doesn't even know what their Latin names are, but he knows every single plant in these woods and what they're going to do and how to help you. And he just looks like this, you know, like whatever country guy. You just kind of would look down at, like you wouldn't even think a second, you know what I mean, about this guy. And all of a sudden he was like my hero. um so I think there is this sort of Americana like that's real like in the world right now, like that it's out there, those people live that way. And we just we don't value it. We sort of have like undervalued somebody like that, and we've sort of like, I don't know, something in our society, we made the guy driving the Lamborghini more important somehow than this guy who's clearly more important. I just don't think, I think our values are messed up.
No, for sure. For sure, our values are messed up, and this is such a beautiful, touching story. Like when you really listen, because it's like, you know, I am approaching my 30, and there's so many people my age and younger, especially in the bigger cities, that like they haven't even seen a live chicken ever. They haven't
Right,
seen
right.
chicken that's alive.
Talk about being disconnected. How many chickens have you eaten and you haven't seen a freaking live chicken?
Yeah,
It's
how
like
do you know you're
it's
disconnected? Like, tell me, how
uh,
many
uh,
chickens? Yeah,
I mean, literally, if you lined up how many chickens you've eaten in your life, dude, like it would fill up your whole house. Like you'd have chickens everywhere, like so many chickens you've eaten. Like it's crazy how many chickens humans go through. And yeah, it's just wild.
yeah, it's gonna become normal. I think like, oh, but I saw it on Instagram, so that counts, right? I know how it looks like. Like you used to see a tiger and then be like, oh, I saw it on Instagram. I know how it looks like. Yeah, it's wild. And like, and I'm also seeing, like more and more of my friends being like, we just want to live in nature. We want to live, we want to have a community. Like a lot of people have this vision, but there's not enough examples. Like
Yeah.
there's not enough examples. I was talking to a buddy in the morning and he was like, dude, I got a great news. I was like, what is it? I just bought a tractor. And I was like, man, congrats. Like
That's
you can
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he's like 31, runs his business.
I
That's
mean, it's
completely
great. He probably doesn't know what the hell he's doing too. Like, and that's awesome too. Like,
no.
I mean, it's
That's the
that's
point.
it.
Every
It's just
time.
like, dude, we don't. Nobody knows. Nobody
Yeah,
really knows what they're doing, and you just got to get out and try it. And that's awesome. I love it. I mean, that's what we did. We went out and got this farm, and like I worked on a farm for a year. Actually raised chickens. We were like we slaughtered. I slaughtered all these chickens in one year, and I mean they're all organic. You know, uh, but yeah, I mean it just changes your relationship to food. It changes your relationship to like nature and health. And then to try to do it yourself, it gives you a whole nother appreciation for every meal that you eat, when you're growing your own food, and then you're like, like we would go down in the morning, and I would pick eggs, from the hen house, and then, I'd have like we had all the spinach this one year, so I would just like every morning I would make and then I love the nettles, and then there's also this wild herb that grows out there in Ohio. It's like called ramps, and so we pick the ramps and nettles and spinach. I'd make this whole greens with eggs in it, and I would just make that in the morning. Just be like, damn, like this is like such good food, but I just felt so much appreciation, um, because I was like literally going out and picking that at like 6 in the morning, in the morning dew. And like I was just like going in the kitchen and making this. And I'm like, damn, this is crazy. Like, what a way to live.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but it just gives you so much appreciation yeah, for like, when I go and go to the farmer's market or something, it's like these guys growing food. I mean, I don't know. I'm not doing it now, so there's not enough like really solid organic farmers in the world for like how much food people need. There's 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 so many of these big industry farms.
Yeah. But that
So
makes me think, like, it all comes down really to like really being able to hear and listen, like what is the reality of your situation.
yeah,
Because I know, like I just started thinking as you said it, like so many times I would think, how do we make so much food that it's for all the people, blah blah. But we are again like often thinking in terms of capitalism, because we are thinking like how can one person produce for 99%, but if like 30% of people starts making their own thing, they start sharing it, giving it away, or it's
yeah,
whatever, it's different. Because how many, like, I don't know, I saw the other day, like America used to have like 100 years ago it was like 90% farmers or something. Let's just say it's true, but something like that. And then like up to now it's like less than 10% or something, and that's
it's
wild.
not. I mean, it's so small. And what's crazy is, after World War II and everything, and there's another really great book. It's called The Omnivore Dilemma by Michael Pollan. But it's really cool. Like he kind of breaks down the whole corn industry, which is so just completely bonkers now. I mean, it's just gotten so out of control that there is so much corn being produced, that they don't even know what to do with it. Like they literally have like these huge factories now that their sole purpose is like to divide the corn into tiny little parts, and then create different things out of the corn. So now like things like plaster on your walls is made out of corn, like paint has corn in it. Like it's
Mhm.
crazy. They even came out with ethanol, like a gas like that uses corn, but it's so inefficient that they put so much corn into it that after all the petroleum that goes into growing the corn, it's like you're wasting so much resources on this corn. But they've built this huge mega industrial infrastructure around this plant. And um and it's really interesting because he theorizes, and I tend to agree with him, that this was like all corn's idea. Like corn, like the corn started it, like it was
Yeah.
like a way for corn to like become like basically get huge, because every plant kind of in its own way wants to proliferate. And corn did like a freaking amazing job. You know what I mean? Proliferate.
Yeah.
But now it's wild because the corn, fructose syrup, high fructose syrup, all those things, like it's in almost corn is in almost every food item, every processed food you can imagine has some form of corn in it. And we're pretty much made out of, like, most people in the US especially are a certain percentage of us are just made out of corn because, like, that's just in the food, you know?
It
So
sounds wild.
it's wild how, how much that's gotten embedded into our sort of whole, and it's very economically like industrial complex.
Mhm.
It's like really at the core of it. It's like corn, petroleum, these certain things are like at the core of kind of the mega
Yeah.
industrial complex. It's pretty wild.
How do we find the healthier way? Like, I'm curious, like, for the USA, for where you're at, because this is something I'm asking myself every day.
I mean,
Like,
it's expensive to really like eat really good food, unless you're growing yourself. It gets expensive. I don't, I mean, just I think we don't need as much food as we think we do. I think that's a big thing. I think if we eat
many other things.
less of cleaner
Yeah.
food, I think we'll get equal amount of nutrition. Um, yeah, and I think just I don't know. I think it goes back to listening, man. Honestly, like you go in the grocery store, you don't know because it'll be like, oh, it's organic. That's not organic. Blah blah blah. This that the other. I think that if you really like focus in and like forget all the signs and all the price tags and all the things and just really look at the vegetable, like you'll see these certain vegetables are just vibing, dude. And I would just say eat those. Just listen, like learn to listen. Like you can tell when a tomato's like vibing. Like if I put like a bunch of tomatoes and like some fucking whatever industrial tomato and then just like a big like one of the tomatoes my grandfather grew from his garden, the big freaking heirloom, amazing. And then these other, you would just know that tomato was just like vibing, like you'd look at it and be like, damn, look at that tomato. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you compared them. So I think there's something there. Like I wouldn't prescribe as much to like the whether it's organic or not organic or how much it costs or who whatever, all that shit. Just look at the ones that are vibing because it's a relationship, and the people that grew it, like when my grandfather grew that tomato, he would like put so much of his love into that thing, man. And he was just like, he was there for it. And like that's what you're getting. You're getting that like that attention, that awareness. And he sort of grew them under these, even like in this weird place. Like I remember there's like power lines and something behind. I mean, it was a weird area, but dude, that tomato was still like the best one you'll ever have. You know what I mean? Like it didn't matter all the other stuff. Like I don't think a lot of that stuff matters. I think it's like it's an energy and you'll know. So I would just like, yeah, you go to Whole Foods or go to Sprouts or wherever you're gonna go, just like look at the vegetables, um, and you'll know. Just pay attention. That's kind of my I think, yeah. But you got to go to the whole food, obviously. You got to go to like the actual original food. That's why we're so into with the blends, we're so into just like the original herbs. Like we don't treat it, we don't do anything. Like
Yeah.
it's just the straight herbs because it's from nature, it's the best. It's the less you can do, the better.
Yeah. How do
Less
you
you do
ensure
to
that
it.
there's like no chemicals in production, in manufacturing process?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we just work with the organic farms, we get the organic herbs, we sort everything by hand. So, yeah, I mean, it's how like anything should be, how food should be, how anything that we take from the plant world into our lives should be. So, for me, a lot of the like like the overly processed, like some of my pet peeves are like overly processed cannabis. Like, I don't know. What the fuck are we doing? Like we like pulling the THC off of the thing and all this shit. Go back to just the bud. I don't even like the liquids. I mean, I'm just as guilty. I'll smoke a little liquid because it's easy and convenient, but it's like, God, I always feel weird about it too. I'm like, just go back to the original, man. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing? Like all the herbal supplements, they're like turned into pills, and then they put like 100 million ingredients, and they say it's like good for your brain and whatever, you're chewing like neurogum and all that shit. Like, I just think it's just over processed bullshit. Like, what are we doing? Like, there's plants that just have all that stuff in it. Like, go back to the original, man. You know what's happens when you pull those chemicals off of the plant and you treat them and extract them? You're missing a lot of these other micronutrients that the plant has, and that all that, when I think of micronutrient, I don't think of like a nutrient that your body needs to survive. I think of information. I think of like wisdom. I think micronutrient is like information that you're missing from the plant. It's like knowledge. It's like wisdom. It's like a
Wow.
code. It's like a thing. You know, it's like nutrients to me mean information.
Oof.
Like, it's not, it's just like your body remembering, oh, that's how you make that one protein that does that one thing. It's like, yeah, people don't have that protein in their body that does the thing. And when you try to like dissect it biologically, medically, you're like, oh, well, you have this rare disease because your body can't create this one protein. Well, that's probably because you just don't have the information on how to create that protein. Like, you just need the information to do it, and then your body will do it, you know? So you're just missing like a micronutrient that we don't understand. We've created like a certain number of nutrients like B12s, and those are probably like big ones. I get it, but there's so many micronutrients that we don't even have a name for it. We don't even understand. We don't even know what they are. And all these different plants
Wow.
have all of those, you know, micronutrients. So that's why it's important to go back to the original source. It's a source code. It's the original source code for life. So that's why we go back to that source code. You know, you have to go back to it.
Dude, you're blowing my mind. Makes so much sense, like, because I really believe that, we can heal ourselves. Obviously, I mean, if you're interested in like alternative health, you must believe that, right? We must believe healing is possible, and that, after all, thinking about micronutrient as microinformation, it's like it's incredible, because I feel now also like what herbs do, they help you to stop preventing micronutrients to flow to you, because you're slowing
Yeah.
down. When you're anxious, we cannot access our whole being. We're just like
Yeah.
such a low vibe that we can't.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then that's basically what, you know, like nutraceuticals, like which is basically like a you know, umbrella term for overly processed, like you know, supplements and stuff like that. Like when you're trying to take creatine, you're trying to take all these things. Like what they're trying to do is they're trying to crack the source code. You know what I mean? They're trying to find, like, even pharmaceutical industry, that's what they're trying to do. They take a plant and then they try to go, oh, it's like this one chemical in the plant, which is, you know, okay, they've isolated THC from cannabis as an example. And so it's this one chemical that's the psychoactive one. And so you just like isolate on that chemical, like I isolate on DMT, I isolate on THC, I just put that one thing in, and now you're like creating a chemical. You're trying to crack the code is what you're trying to do. You're thinking
Mhm.
that it's like a this one chemical is the thing, but what you don't get is that the source code is actually the plant itself. Like, the source code that we will never be able to crack is that we are made up of the plant itself. Like, because we live on planet Earth and that lives on planet, like, we're the same thing, you know, we're living beings. And that's why we can't understand medically ourselves. Like, after all of this effort of breaking ourselves down medically, it's still overly complicated to understand how we operate, you know. And that's, we're just trying to break the code. They're all trying to crack the code with like stem cells, all these things. And they're, and not that any of it, like, a lot of it works and it works well, but in my opinion, the original source code is going to work the best every time. Like, and that's the raw plant kingdom. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it has all the source code. So we're never gonna get, you know, yeah, maybe at some point we'll like figure all that out. And but I don't know if we ever. I think it's sort of like an infinite well of information.
that makes me think, like, where do you think that people
What?
go wrong?
Oh, you want this? You want this? Just take that one. It's fine. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe on the in the kitchen. Sorry, my kids are. Hey, check on Olivia for me. Is she okay? All right. Sorry
But
about
yeah,
that.
no worries, man. But I was curious, like, where do you see people going wrong with the herbs? Because like many times I feel like we see people needing specific type of support, and then they go to herbs and they're like, oh, herbs don't work.
Yeah, I mean, it's not it's not a quick fix, you know. It's like a one pill and then I'm done. What you're trying to do is you're trying to train your body. Your body knows, right? Think about information. You can't just like read a book and then be like, "Oh, I know it all." It's experiential. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What? I don't know. Just look around, dude. I don't know. I'm like live on TV right now.
You see that happen?
She has a fart machine and she was making fart sounds with it. And she's trying to get the charger to be able to recharge the fart machine because it's like running out of batteries or something.
Oh my god.
So I don't know. She's a comedian. Bye.
It's wild.
Here, just do it right in the microphone. Okay, get it out of here. Go. Sorry. That was funny. A little fun. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's like when you read information, you don't just expect yourself to get it like really quickly, right? Like you have to absorb it, you have to process it, you have to understand it. So that's why a lot of herbalists will say, well, you're not going to get the good effects of an herb if you just take it once. Like you have to take it like over a period of like maybe even 2 months, like every day, just a little bit. I'm a big fan of like microdosing, and the herbal version of microdosing is called homeopathics. So homeopathy is like kind of like taking an essence of something. And then there's also this idea of flower essences, which is like you're basically putting a flower in some water, just one flower in some water, and you're putting it in the sunlight and you're letting it kind of get its essence, and then you're just drinking the water. It's like you're not even really getting like a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of the code, let's call it, right? Like you're not getting a lot of it. You're just getting a tiny bit. And there's very interesting studies on homeopathics. Like for example, there's an herb here. It's called Brugmansia. It grows everywhere around here. It's very poisonous. It's also very psychedelic. It's called also called devil's trumpet or angel's trumpet. It's a
I know
beautiful
what you're
big
talking about.
trumpeting flower. It's everywhere. So that one, people have kind of experimented with it because it's supposed to have DMT in it, and like you can chew the seeds, you can trip out, and people have done that and like sort of lost their mind. But what they found, because it's almost like hitting a train, it's like it's so powerful of a psychedelic that you will like you will just literally lose your mind for days at a time. Like
Yeah.
it'll mess you up super intensely. So anyway, what they found with this plant is that if you do a homeopathic version of it, it really helps with trauma. So that's very interesting to me because it's like, think about you getting hit by a train, right? Well, it's like, it's just a really subtle version of getting hit by a train. Like you're just doing it very subtly. Like you're just getting that information. Oh, that's what that feels like to suddenly have your world sort of collide and like get blown to bits. Um, and now I'm just taking this in a tiny little fraction. So it starts to train your body on how to deal with that kind of level of trauma or that kind of level of like sudden change of your reality. Um, so homeopathically, it's an incredible, healer. In large doses, it's incredibly poisonous and can maybe kill you. I don't think it's ever killed anybody. I think it just makes you kind of completely lose your mind.
Yeah, forever.
But it might be, some of those herbs, like I don't know if anybody's ever like, it's funny, like be like, oh, herbs are poisonous, but it's like super, super rare that people actually die from herbs.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
alcohol is poisonous. We drink it, so
yeah, way more common for people to die of alcohol, way more common for people to die of pharmaceuticals, uh, and way more rare for people to die of like an overdose of like a plant. But ironically, people are more afraid of plants than they are of those other
yeah.
two things. So it doesn't, I don't know. But
Well,
yeah, I mean,
culture, right? It's just our modern culture that's just pushing the narrative, and that's why we are skeptical, because we're so like divided from our nature. It's like, who.
Yeah, it's wild. So I love homeopathics for that reason, because it's like a really small, like another great example is rustox, which is the Latin name for poison ivy.
Mhm.
And it'll just mess with your skin, get you all itchy. And ironically, the antidote to poison ivy is poison ivy itself. Like, so if you eat the plant itself in tiny bits, and we used to do this because I used to get poison ivy when I kind of lived out in the country. So in
Same, yeah.
the springtime, when it would come out, I would start to eat it just a little bit, just a tiny bit, just chew it up, eat it little bits every day. And then you would never get it. Like, your body was already adjusted to the energy of it, and you wouldn't have this like reaction to it.
That
Um,
is that is wild to think about, to me. Like, as somebody who has that experience many times of being in touch with poison ivy. So like you would just like eat it raw.
yeah, just like and especially the little young early leaves. And you just pick it with your fingers. I mean, what are you going to get poison ivy right between your fingers? Like, you won't get it right there.
What
You'll
about your
get it on
mouth?
your face or in like sensitive areas on your skin. But I would just pick it and just eat it. Yeah. Like
Wild.
little one little leaf, and that's it for the day. The next day, eat a leaf. Next day, eat a leaf. After about a week of that, you're not going to get it that season if you do it for a week. And I didn't really understand why that was working before, but if you think about plants as information, like I just said,
Yeah.
it starts to make sense now. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, your body like already has that information. And a lot of like the plant medicine people will be like, oh, well, you're breaking out from poison ivy because you have intimacy issues, that you're having a hard time being vulnerable. It's opening you up to being vulnerable. Like, there can be like an emotional reason why you're reacting, to this new information that the earth's trying to give you, that the plant's trying to give you. So it's like an oil, you're reacting to it. And it's, a lot of times people say, well, that's because you're not open enough, you're not vulnerable, you're not. It's interesting. So you never, yeah.
It's super interesting, and like that leads me to something I wanted to ask you is like, if we want to use the herbs to help ourselves, right? Like, and you talk a lot about the ritual and protecting the ritual. Like, how do you see that, like now, like 2026?
I mean, that is a really great question. And I think we're gonna have to. I got my kids here wanting pancakes. And yeah, I mean, that's a big question to unpack, Jan. And I
Yeah.
think that's the reason why we're starting this, kicking back up this podcast. And that's the reason that we're here today, like, so yeah, man, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for like this opportunity. And I'm going to do my best to like show up for everybody. I want to start getting out and playing more music. That's where this whole product came from. I was like making these herbal blends when I used to be a musician playing out of music festivals, and it's when it first started, and I think that's our audience. And I want to like bring all our people together, and I want to start to like learn this together, because I think everybody that's buying these herbs right now on Bear Blend are we're all like leaning into our magic self. We're all leaning into our inner magician, and we want to understand that connection to the plants, and how that's going to open us. And it'll open everybody around us. It'll open all these things, because this is the earth speaking to us. So we just need to learn how to listen. I don't have the answers for how to listen. All I can do is listen and try. And that's why playing music is so powerful for me, because it's all about listening. Playing music
Mm,
is all about
yeah.
listening, and listening to sort of the language of the world, and listening to the heartbeat of the earth, and listening to these plants all have their own language. Imagine that. We're just learning that, but we always knew it. So I just I think that's why we're here. I think that's why we're doing the podcast. I'm excited to keep doing this, you know, and bringing other guests on, and um, and just like going on a discovery with everybody about how we can learn this together, how we can kind of learn to listen better to the natural world, like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and also like be an example and offer different possibilities, right? Because there's infinite possibilities to mix different herbs, to do different things. But I feel like giving also some kind of a guidance is so important, and it also
Yeah.
just starts by showing up. It's not complicated, it's not hard, and I feel that's also confusing about it, because like once you start feeling ease about like what direction to take, that's the right choice.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's
Exactly.
just too simple. Why wouldn't you follow something that feels good? You know, it's
I
wild. And I'm really also grateful to be here and just to see like, how this affects people. You know, like it's
yeah.
just interesting. It's super interesting.
It's amazing, man. It's really awesome.
How long have
So,
you been doing this actually? Like, I'm not even familiar. Like, on how when did everything?
so yeah, I first started making the original blend like almost 25 years ago now. I was in my like I was pretty young. I was in my early 20s and I was just living out on the farm. My brother and I started the farm. And then it just happened that we had no idea this was happening at the time, but we like started this farm in the middle of like this whole herbal world. Like there was Frontier Herbal Research Farm was our neighbors. There was Rosemary Gladstar was like coming down there. There was there was just all these like there are all these amazing herbalists there.
What was your
They have
motivation?
the United Plant Savers was right down the street, which is like their whole focus is like saving all these plants from going extinct. It turned out that that region of southeastern Ohio is like one of the most botanically diverse regions. It actually is the most botanically diverse region in the 48 states. Um, because just of all these colliding factors. It's where like American ginseng and black and blue cohosh and golden seal, all these different herbs grow there. So it's like it was just kind of an eye opener to it. Like we had no idea. We were just my brother and I were just like the neighborhood farmer boys hanging out, growing veggies, you know, and there were all these like world renowned herbalists from just traveling in and giving talks and lectures to they had like a school basically they had like three schools right in that area and so we just got I got kind of introduced into all this through like I was just hanging out backstage with all these like different herbal wizards and like smoking joints with them and stuff. Like that's literally what happened. Like we were just the local farmer boys wearing my like overalls, smoking like showing up with my joints and hanging out with like these herbalists um and like learning from just like sitting up all night with them around a campfire like talking story about like their lives and like herbs and stuff. So it was wild. I mean, we had Tom Brown came, I think, like, and gave this whole like lecture about, and that was, I learned about, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but like he lives out in, the, in New Jersey, like in the Pine Barrens without anything, like he just went out there to live like with like a knife or whatever. And he survived out there for like, I don't know, 100 days or more. I don't know. He just like he's like kind of like he's a survivalist. But he's got all this like stuff about like tracking. He wrote a book about tracking. My brother was so into that, and so he would like do this tracking. So like we would just hang out in the woods and like try to wait for, like sneak up on deer and stuff, like jump out of trees and like grab a deer and stuff like that. Like we were just having fun. I mean, I don't know. It was getting really close to nature, and I lived in a teepee for a while, just like out in the in the woods, and yeah, so it was just it was that was like my what I was doing in my 20s, and I would still be there honestly if it weren't for this sort of spiritual awakening I had one morning in the snow, that where I was like, I woke up in the teepee and it was like, it gets so hot in the teepee, and I was just like kind of walking out into the snow like naked, and I was just standing there naked in the snow, and this deer came up and was like, looked at me, and it like walked right up to me. It was weird, and then it just looked at me, and it was almost like, you ever see somebody like, they look at you and they're like, dude, what are you even doing here? Like, he gave me this look. He was like, fucking get out of here, dude. Like, this is my spot, dude. Fuck you. And I was like, what? I was like, I thought you liked me. Like, what? I was like, all bummed for a second. I looked at him. I was like, huh? And then he was like, dude, you are done here. Like, you got to go now. And I suddenly had this like vision that I was like, oh, like nobody knows that this is even a thing. Like, I just realized, like, nobody knows that you can just live in a teepee in the woods. Like, nobody even knows that. Like, all these people are out there in the world just struggling and trying to like make money and do all this shit. And like, I know I could just live here in bliss and just like live out in nature, but I suddenly felt this like burden of a responsibility to like get out and start sharing that information with people. Like, I couldn't just sit there. Like, this deer was like, dude, you're done, dude. Like, you graduated now. Like, why are you even still here? It was almost like I was like, you know, graduated high school, and then I was like going back again to high school the next year. And the guy was like, dude, what are you doing here? Like, you graduated, dude. Like, you're done now. Like, go into the world.
That's so cool.
And I was like, oh, and it fucked with me so much. Like, I couldn't get that deer out of my head for like a month. I was like, God, like, what is going on? And then finally I was like, dude, I guess I gotta go, you know. And that spring I like kind of launched out into the world, and I went and started, I kind of moved back into the town, and I started going back to school, and I started up my band, and I started doing all these things and kind of getting out into the world again. So
Well, like with the band, you
um
started kind of like first time sharing it with others, or
no, I mean, yeah, I was like, you know, sitting in the farm, like in my closet. I literally had an album that I made that was called From the Closet. And I was like in this, I set up a recording studio in the closet in our like double wide trailer like thing. That's what, you know, my brother lived in, and I was like kind of living in the teepee. And anyway, I set up this, it was like this tiny little recording studio, and I made an album in there. So yeah, I was writing songs, and I was like into music a lot, but I never yeah, I was just holding myself back from like being out there, you know. So I like moved into town, and I started to like go to the open mics, and I started up a band. I met these guys, and then we started playing all these gigs. And yeah, a couple of years later we were like, it was kind of getting to be a thing. And so that's kind of what ended up launching my world into like the music. So from there I kind of went, and then I moved to San Francisco and started playing music, and I was like, I'm just gonna play music, you know. So that was my way of getting the message out there, which ended up being more of like a spiritual journey for me, because like I was always back to that deer, being like, okay, I'm here because I'm like sharing the message of like nature and like living in this teepee. Like, how is that even, like, I could never really put it together, honestly. And I've struggled with it. I mean, I'm still struggling with it, you know, like, how do I get this message out there? And I think you've really helped me on. I just want to like acknowledge you, like, for showing up and helping me to kind of see that, you know, these worlds are all connected, like the herbs and like my music and this podcast is just, it's all been my effort to do that, you know, to share that information and that those like micronutrients from the plants. So yeah, I just got to keep showing up, and that's my focus for the year, is like, and for from now on for the rest of my life, you know, is just to keep showing up for these things, and try to make this happen for, you know, help everybody to see what that feels like to live in that TP, and to be that connected to the natural world, and to feel so safe there, to feel so safe in the trees. Um, it's like it's the safest place for me, you know.
no, I
So
get it, man. I get it.
yeah, man.
I get it. And
So
what
thanks
then?
for
King Bear blend? I'm curious, like this gap, you know,
Well, that's for episode number 2, man. We're gonna have to do this again, and I don't have to cut us off. I gotta go make my kids some pancakes and stuff.
man, that's
But
right.
and yeah, make them some good food. But yeah, man, thanks so much for today. Let's do this. You know, let's work together. Let's make it happen. I really appreciate you, and thanks to everybody for listening. I don't even know if this thing went live. I don't know what's going on out there.
Yeah.
If anybody's listening, that's
I
great.
mean, it's live, you know, it's live in the energy, so that matters. We're not gonna stop anyway, so
Yeah, we're not gonna stop.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
man. Well, till next time. I enjoyed it tremendously, and there's lots more to share. Lots more to share.
Well, we'll talk soon, huh?
All right, man. Thanks.